was written on September the 17th, 2001. It was a time when, as we Americans received the shock of how fragile our freedom and our security are. On that day, he found meaning to the message delivered by an American president 40 years earlier than that. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Ricky with his speech, "Now is the time."
The phone rings. Mr. Ricky, my name is Amy. Are you still looking for employment? That call came in July, and I said, yes, I'm just sitting here, and I was reading Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. And I needed something. I'd sold my business, and I was just kind of doing nothing. She said, well, I'm with the Anthony Robbins Corporation. I started to laugh. She said, Mr. Ricky, this isn't funny. I'm trying to see if you need work. And I said, well, that's what's funny here, Amy, is the fact that I'm reading Tony's book as we speak. And she laughed. I went down for an interview at the Marriott by the airport. It was an interview with David, the sales manager. I figured, you know, I just had reached district level with a speech called about Sky King. Carl remembers, he was there. And I had done very well in the contest, and I figured, I'm going to have to speak in front of this guy. Guess what I'm going to give him? So I go down, I walk in the room, and there's 70 people in there trying to get 13 jobs. And everybody was about half my age. Talk about taking it in the management. So we went through the process, listened to David talk, and he said, now, I want you to know this isn't just about speaking. This is about getting on the phone, making cold calls to Fortune 500 companies for them to hear you do a presentation on behalf of the company. He said, now we're going to take a little break here, and those who are interested, please return in 7 minutes. Well, I came back in, now it's down to 30. A lot of people thought this was going to be very easy. And then he set up an appointment for the next day. I went for my appointment. He says, look, we've only got 15 minutes. He went through what the job included, and he said, now what I'd like to do is have you do a little speech for me. But have you any questions first? And I said, David, just one. He said, what's that? And I said, how did you get involved with Tony Robbins? 45 minutes later, I stood up and I did my speech, and he looked up at me and he goes, I'll be back in touch with you, Tim. Because that speech was a very heartfelt experience in my life. He called the next week. Tim, hey, David, how are you? I'm afraid we hired someone else. Another shot to the mandible. And then the following week he called again and he said, you know, I talked to Tony about you. I thought, whoa. And he would like me to make this offer. We'd like to fly you to Boston for the event there for 4 days. Then after that, we have training for 17 days straight in Lauderdale from 9 in the morning till 1 or 2 o'clock at night. What do you want to do? And then we'll let you know if we're going to hire you. And I said, when do I leave? He says, I thought so. The ticket's already at the airport for you. So I went through the training with Tony, and as I'm going through it, the one thing I found out about the other 12 people in the room, the youngsters, as I would call them, they didn't know anything about speaking. None of them. So I became a speaker's coach for these people working for Tony. A few weeks later, I was doing my first presentation down the street where it's now the Villages condo project. There was a place called Rough Office Supply, remember? And the man who invited me to speak was our own Michael Wood, who's always been a great friend for many years. So I'm down there doing a speech on behalf of Tony that morning, and all of a sudden, everybody's cell phone goes off. I mean, everybody. And they're leaving. What's going on? They're just leaving. I'm standing, what happened here? Was there a blast or something? My cell phone was in the car. So I go out to the car and I pick up my phone. I see there's a message. So I hit it as I'm leaving and I look over my shoulder and I says, isn't that interesting? The date is the same as the address here. 911. I think we all know what's going on with the cell phones. I rush home. I go into the living room. And my wife and my grandkids are watching TV and the events occurring that day. And then all of a sudden, the plane in Indiana, and then the Pentagon, and my wife She stands up and screams, "Oh my God, Danny!" I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Danny, he works at the Pentagon." I said, "Well, now calm down. Just calm down. The odds are, because it's such a huge building, that Danny is fine." She's calling. So she tried calling the Pentagon, and of course that didn't happen. She tried calling his apartment, and that didn't happen for 7 or 8 hours. She finally got through and left a message. Well, Wednesday came, we'll call it Danny. Thursday came, we'll call it Danny. By now, she's falling totally apart. Friday morning, I get on the internet, and I'm looking for a list. And I do find a list of all of that they've been able to account for that did pass away or missing. I said, "Well, I found the list." She sat down next to me, going through the list. His name is Daniel Hunter. Now she totally lost it. She got into a fetal position in bed and stayed there all day Friday, all the way through Saturday. I didn't know what to do. I could not console her. She'd lost her brother. Sunday morning, the phone rings. I quickly grabbed it and ran out of the room because I didn't want to disturb her. "Hello? Hey, Tim." "Yeah, it's Danny." "Danny? Danny Honaker?" I said, "Yeah, man." He said, "I'm sorry. I didn't even look at my message machine, everything going on. I don't even work at the Pentagon anymore. I work across the street, but there's another guy with the same name that was there." I win it. "Hold on, Danny. Laurel, wake up. You really want to take this call." Now you want to see someone go from the very pits of agony to the greatest of joy. That's what happened for Laurel that day. She bounded around the house all day like it was a whole new world. Her brother had survived 9/11. But you see, there's a message here that I thought of during those days. You and I are in here learning the art of public speaking. Now is the time for us to step up and encourage others. Go everywhere when events like this and deliver. Find a message you can deliver to inspire about freedom, about right, about wrong, and bring it out. Now is the time for us to do that as Toastmasters. It's not a school. And it made me remember a message I heard 40 years ago from JFK. You've all heard it. Now it had meaning. Ask not what your country can do